Hey everyone, welcome back to another Beast of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series reviews. Today we're taking a look at the Xenoceratops. Well, this is it. This is the final figure to review in the Ceratopsian series. I've done all the figures except for the adult Protoceratops. There's a reason why I didn't get that one. That's because we're going to get a 1/18 scale one very shortly in the future. And I think David said those 1/18 scale Protoceratops, Taurosaurus, and the other Dromaeosaurs will be available sometime in May. I think they're going to actually go up for pre-order around February. So yeah, this is kind of a bittersweet review because it's the final figure I'll be doing for this series. But you know what? I'm so happy that we're done with Wave 3. It's been a long 2 years, but these figures were definitely worth the wait. They all turned out absolutely fantastic. And I'd like to give a shout out to my beautiful wife for getting me the Xenoceratops for Christmas. As much as she complains about the vast number of dinosaur toys in this house, at least she's still willing to add just a little bit to that pile, so thank you. Now, this figure retails for $89.99, and if you'd like to pick one up for yourself, I'll leave a link down below to Greater Beast Studios. Now, let's just go over the packaging really quick so we can crack this figure open. You got the Xenoceratops on full display with that window-style packaging. On the sleeve right here is some beautiful artwork of the Xenoceratops, and up here with the Beast of the Mesozoic logo, all decked out in gorgeous foil trim. Then on the side of the box, got the Beast of the Mesozoic logo, Triceratops all done in white. And then on the back of the box, as usual, is all the figures available in Wave 3. And over here we have a better picture of that artwork with some facts about Xenoceratops. And the sleeve is removable so you can get a nice view of all the figures available in Wave 3. These are all the big boys, and so that will do it for the packaging. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. Alright, let's start with a 360-degree view of the Xenoceratops. Now, this figure was the first fully painted prototype shown off at the very start of the Ceratopsian series, and it's just a beautiful looking figure. I'm really surprised how well the yellow coloration works on here. It's very natural looking. You have a lot of browns and blacks mixing in with that bright yellow, and just like most figures in this series, the coloration is based off real-life reptiles and amphibians, and the Xenoceratops is based off the Phuket, not the fuck it, horned tree agama. I think this color scheme really works well on here. Kind of surprised how well the yellow works. It's just a absolute beautiful figure. This was the absolute last figure I received from Wave 3, and I have to say, it is up there with one of my favorites. If you're considering picking up one of the larger figures from Wave 3, you definitely need to consider the Xenoceratops. It's not the most popular species, but man, this figure just turned out absolutely beautiful. And Xenoceratops is from the foremost formation of Alberta, Canada. Its name means alien horned face, and that is because it is the only ceratopsian species known from that formation. Now let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure is 14 inches long from the tip of the beak to the tip of that very short tail, and about 7.5 inches tall to the top of the frill. So Xenoceratops in real life is estimated to be around 20 feet long. So I'll put this figure nicely in that 1/18 scale the line is going for. And just like every other figure in the series, you do get this nice collector card with that beautiful artwork of the Xenoceratops. I gotta say, I absolutely love Raul Ramos's take on the Ceratopsians. I think of all the artists that do work for this series, his is among the best, and that artwork just turned out absolutely beautiful. And I am dreading how I'm going to figure out how to recreate the artwork with the Xenoceratops. You know, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been, trying to recreate all the artwork with all the figures, and I've done, a decent job, but this one is definitely going to be challenging because of that water effect. And then turn the card around, you do have some facts about Xenoceratops. So let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this beautiful head sculpt. I love how all that bright yellow contrasts with all the dark brown and black. I'm not going to lie to you. I was, definitely going to get this figure, but it was definitely at the bottom of my Wave 3 list. But having it in hand, this thing is just absolutely top-notch. It is one of the best looking figures in Wave 3. I just love how all the colors turned out on here. It's striking and vivid, but it also looks natural. I just love all that dark brown around the nostril area. You have some nice washes in there to bring out all that beautiful scale detail. All these figures, like I keep saying it, I've done like 25 reviews of Beast of Mesozoic figures, and they're just absolutely beautiful painted and sculpted figures, and this Xenoceratops is definitely among the top ones. You can see the eye is painted a brown color with a black pupil. It has a nice glossy coat. You can see the light reflecting off it to give it that wet look. The beak has some nice dry brushing to bring out all that texture. The rough nose ridge also has some nice dry brushing on it. The horns are painted a very natural bone color. And then looking at the front, I absolutely love how the frill came out on here. It's such an intricate and beautiful design. You have some bright white for the false eyes on the fenestra, and they have all highlighted by all this black and brown with some yellow mixed in. Just really, really nice looking figure. All the colors just work on this thing. Like, it's the last Ceratopsian figure I'm going to review from the series, and man, I'm just like absolutely smitten with this thing. I just love how this thing turned out. You can see some nice dry brushing on all the knobs and spikes on the frill, and then going down to the mouth, you can see there is a nice articulated tongue in here. Because the face is shorter on this figure, you can actually see the tongue. On some of the other figures with the longer snouts, like Taurosaurus and Triceratops, that tongue is pretty far back, and you really can't see it. But I just love how the tongue is sticking out like that. And let's try to open the mouth up just a little bit further and take a look in there. You can see the tongue, but yet again, my light is having trouble picking it up, but there is fully sculpted teeth on the upper and lower jaws. And then going down to the side, you can see there's some more dry brushing on the spike on the cheek. You can see the ear canal sculpted in here, and it's just, I just love the head on this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna gush about this figure a lot during this review. And then going to the back of the frill, you get some nice yellow, black, and brown mixed in there. So it's always nice that the back of the frill has some nice detail on it. Like, every inch of this figure is painted beautifully from head to toe. And we got a drop of water here because I was trying to heat up a couple of joints for this review, and I guess it did not fully dry. So going down to the neck region, you have a nice transition of yellow to brown with all these dark black markings. You get some nice brown highlights on the top of the neck. And then going down to the main body, you have this nice bright yellow coloration with some nice dry brushing of light browns. You have this nice dark pattern, nice mixture of black and browns, and all the large scales in the dark color regions of this figure are picked out in bright yellow. And then when you go down to the thigh, you can see on the bright yellow region, those large scales are picked out in brown. So it's a nice contrast with those light scales. And going down to the front legs, you get some nice light brown striping. And as you go down to the front legs, all that yellow transitions into a nice brown. You have a nice wash over there, bring out all that scale detail. You can see the toe claws are painted in a glossy brown paint. And then going down to the thighs, you got some nice light brown striping, and then down here you got more of a rusty, like, orange color for the hind legs. Same thing with the toe claws, they're painted in a glossy brown color. And let's look at the back pattern. You can see those large scales have a yellow dry brushing to add a little bit more definition to that darker brown and black coloration. Some nice stripes over the hip region, and then going down to the very short tail. I have to say, I much prefer the shorter tail on the Ceratopsian figures versus some of the figures that come with the longer tails. I just think the shorter tail just looks better. It's much more visually appealing to me. You can see more of that striping on the tail. And let's turn the figure over. You have some nice large belly scales. Even the undersides of the feet have some really nice detail on them. And then going down to just about the tail base, let's do our dinosaur figure butthole check. And there is our cloaca slit. So yeah, this figure is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm just like I said, I am just so happy with this thing, and I really, it was like at the bottom of my list for Wave 3, and once getting it in hand, it quickly rose to one of my top figures from Wave 3. Now let's move on to articulation, where we covered the tongue articulation, but the mouth on this figure can close pretty much flush, and that's always a bonus for me. Some of the figures, just the way they're sculpted, the beaks don't close completely flush, but it closes pretty much on the Xenoceratops, and that is about as wide as the mouth can open. You have a joint right here at the base of the neck. You get some nice side-to-side movement and a little bit of up and down. And on this back joint right here, you can get the head to look up that far and look down just a little bit. And then using both those joints in tandem, you do get some nice side-to-side movement. Going down to the front legs, you get some forward and backwards movement. The front legs can pivot out, you get just under 90 degrees of bend at the elbow joint. On the wrist, you get some up and down and side to side movement, and it can rotate from side to side. Now for the mid torso joint, you can angle it up to change the position of the hips, or you can angle it down. This helps with sitting positions. And then looking at it from the top, you do get some nice side to side movement with that joint. Now with the hind legs, legs can go 360 degrees. I can't bend the knee for some reason on this left leg joint. That's why the figure was a little bit wet. I was trying to heat it up. Just can't get it to move, and I'm really not going to force it. I don't feel like breaking it. I've had a lot of good luck with these figures, and I don't feel like breaking this Xenoceratops. But on this side right here, you do have a very tight, clicky joint, and you can get a nice bend at the knee. And then at the ankle joint, you do get a little bit of forwards and backwards movement, some side-to-side movement on that back foot, and up and down. And then going down to the tail, you get some upwards movement, downward movement, and some side to side. So, you know, articulation on these figures works pretty great. You can get these figures in some pretty neat poses. You just have to use your imagination. Now, moving on with comparisons, here it is with one of the Jurassic World human figures. Here it is with Sammy, and hopefully she won't take a DNA sample from this thing's mouth and create a hybrid and feel sorry about it later because the big bad corporation tortured my family. Wah. And next up, here is Collecte's Xenoceratops. It's actually another mainstream Xeno figure. It's the PNSO Mini. I have that figure. No clue where I put it. It's a very tiny figure, and I have a bad habit of just throwing everything into bins, and those tiny figures get lost pretty easily. I'm sure I'll find it, and when I eventually do, I'll post like a comparison among all three Xenoceratops figures on my Instagram, and the link to my Instagram is also down below in the description. And we all know what time it is. It is time for Mattel Triceratops Size Shaman. Here it is with their hilariously small Triceratops. I will never stop complaining about it until they actually give us a larger one. And next up, like I said, I always keep doing this until the adult Tyrannosaurus Rex figure comes out from Beasts of Mesozoic. Here it is with the Kenner Red Rex, which is a good size comparison of how big that figure is going to be compared to the other Ceratopsians. And let's compare it to a couple other Tyrannosaur figures. Here it is with Safari Limited. Awesome looking feather T-Rex. There we go. You're not going to fall over, are you? And here it is with Papo's green stand-in T-Rex. And here it is with Eofauna's Triceratops. And lastly, we have the Xenoceratops with all the Wave 3 figures. And I have to say, Wave 3 is absolutely spectacular. I don't think the other two waves match the hype of this one because it's just a dinosaur collector's dream come true. Large, accurate, fully articulated dinosaur figures. Like, these figures are absolute beasts. And it's just a dream come true, and it just looks absolutely awesome to have them all together. And I'm seriously, I am just so happy with this series. It is just, way up there with my favorite dinosaur figures of all time. And here we go. We have the Xenoceratops, Penta, Adult Triceratops, Big Blue Toro in the back, Utah Ceratops, here's Xeno, and Alberta Ceratops. And you really can't go wrong picking any of these figures from this wave. They're all spectacular. They're all beautifully painted. But my top pick from the entire Ceratopsian series is the Taurosaurus. Taurosaurus is one of my favorite Ceratopsians of all time. And it's just a dream come true to have a large version of that species. It's proudly displayed on my nightstand on my side of the bed, as much as my wife complains about it. So it watches me sleep every night. So that is my favorite figure. Now, if you're considering picking up any of these, the Pentaceratops is really high up there on my recommendation list. It's just a standout figure with that vivid color scheme and that huge head. But seriously, I think the sleeper underdog of this entire wave is this Xenoceratops. If you're, don't want to spend over $100, definitely consider this one right here. And let's just throw in the little Zuniceratops for a size comparison, and I've seen browser videos start out like this. Poor Zuni. So, final thoughts on the Xenoceratops. If you can't tell from this glowing review, it is an absolutely fantastic figure that is worthy of your collection. Just love how that bright yellow and all the brown and black just mix so well together. It gives it a very natural looking color scheme, and just that paintwork on the frill is just sublime, and I highly recommend it for your dinosaur collection. And like I said, I know these large Ceratopsian figures are expensive, but you definitely have to get one for your collection to really appreciate all the love and effort David put into these figures. They're just truly a joy to hold and play around with. And again, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife for picking this figure up for me for Christmas. As much as she likes to complain about my dinosaur collection, she's still kind enough to get me a figure, even though she still is technically part of the problem. And let's not get started on my Transformers addiction. So yeah, highly recommend this figure. If you want to pick it up, the link to Creative Beast Studios is down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. It's a very bittersweet review because this is the last figure from the Ceratopsian series I will be reviewing, but at least we have the 1/18 scale Raptors, Cetocosaurus, and Protoceratops. I think David said those are going to go up for pre-order sometime in February with like a May availability. So that's like a nice little treat for us in the middle of the year before the Wave 1 Tyrannosaur series starts shipping around September. I still have some new PNSO figures coming in. I got their Triceratops. They just announced a Centrosaurus today. So what a good year for Centrosaurus. You know, there's been barely any figures of it. You know, we got 3 of them from Beast of the Mesozoic, and now PNSO is giving their shot at that very well-known species. So be on the lookout for those future reviews. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and it's greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys for the next one.